Hi, welcome to my video, and this is my made in Sweden power, like lab power supply, I guess. It's called a Powerbox 3100. I believe this was made in the 80s, and this is the last lab power supply made by Powerbox. I think they still make um, commercial power supplies. Don't quote me on that, but they're a suite from Sweden. And this is the Powerbox 3100. And this one came all the way from India, and I got it on eBay, and I believe it was under $100, and I think it was under 150 with shipping. So it was pretty reasonable. And I decided to take a chance on it because I wanted to get a power supply, and even the old Hewlett Packards are pretty expensive still on eBay. Hewlett Packard is kind of the industry standard, I guess. And so anyways, I'm not like an expert at electronics. I'm just kind of starting out I'm just kind of a hobbyist in electronics. I've, did some small repairs to my electronic equipment, consisting of basically just replacing a bunch of capacitors and really, really rough testing gear, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. Uh, yeah, I'm I'm not an expert. I'm just basically a hacker, I guess. I don't know, but anyways, I love it. Even because even though that I have like a pretty lack of experience, I still love electronics. I don't know what it is. I've always been interested in electronics. I don't do it as a career or anything like that, but I've always been interested in it. I find it fascinating. Um, so it's fascinating that something in electronics that you can buy from the 50s and the 60s can still a lot of times work in 2020. You might have to replace a few capacitors, you might have to replace a few resistors, you might have to troubleshoot some basic problems. And a lot of the repairs on old electronics is not as complex as you would think. It's sort of, you can trace it down to one component. And the other thing about working on old electronics is that modern electronics has really tiny circuit boards that you have to basically see anything through a microscope to work on it, and have really, special tools. And older electronics, from like the 70s and 80s to the 90s, probably to the early 90s, on back, 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, electronics is pretty easy to work on. Uh, Before they got into the integrated circuit and all that kind of stuff, they used diodes, or like vacuum tubes and stuff for and things like that. So you get onto electronics way back from like um, the 1940s and 1950s, where they use vacuum tubes, and it's even more crude. So it's and it's a whole different can of beans. So they use like a really high voltage in a lot of stuff from like the 40s. To do the same job, they use low voltage on stuff now, or in low current and stuff like that. So electronics is fascinating, and a lot of the concepts are the same. Like a resistor is a resistor, a capacitor is a capacitor, and a battery is a battery, and a switch is a switch, and things like that. So it's all the same concepts, a lot of this stuff too. And just the addition of computer controlling stuff now. So, a lot of stuff is just, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like all the same concepts, but just, different execution maybe. I don't know. I'm not like a genius as far as electronics, so I'm just sort of like rambling on. But anyways, here's this Powerbox 3100, and I really love getting deals on things on eBay. So I got it. Now my little electronics gear consists of like 100 megahertz Agilent Hewlett Packard Mega Zoom oscilloscope, 4 channel, with memory, which is really cool. It's really fun to use, and well, I basically got a good deal on that, and a lot of the equipment is really cool because it's some electronic equipment is even self-diagnosing. So the Hewlett Packard, I replaced very carefully replaced an internal battery, and it does all, it boots up and it does all the self-test, and there was some tests that were wrong, and it just had to do with like an internal battery. So electronics is a lot of fun. Of course, you always have to use precautions with electronics. Uh, so, but anyways, back to the Powerbox, PB Powerbox 3100, and it suits my needs. I checked the accuracy with my Fluke 47 version 3, and the accuracy is a little bit out. I know that when you open up the Powerbox, there's some adjustment screws, and you can adjust things. So I may go in and try to adjust it so that it's more accurate. So that's the only way you can adjust it, I think, is with those adjustment screws. But I don't think there's anything majorly wrong with this power supply, hopefully. It's a really interesting design. It's got the 3-digit readout. I think one of the channels is off by about 0.6 of a volt when I tested it. So I would like, the current is pretty good. It's pretty accurate. I don't know if it's how accurate it is down to like 4 and 5 digits. I'd have to test that out. My Fluke goes to 4.5 digits for accuracy. So basically, and yeah, and I can also read my Fluke, and I could take averages, so I can read the voltage over a certain time period, and it'll give me a high, low, and average, which is pretty cool. So I don't know, I don't do really accurate electronics. I don't know, maybe there'll be coming a time when I need to have a really accurate power supply. I'm not sure. I guess I'll when I get there, I'll figure it out. But anyways, like the basics of this power box, and I'll put the only information I can find on this power box is a one sheet sort of PDF, and it just gives you the basics of this Powerbox 3100. And as you can see on the sheet, it's got 3 channels. One goes to 0 to 7 volts and put out a maximum of 4 amps. And then channel 1 and 2, they go to 40 volt. There's a switch, they can go to either 40 volt or 20 volt. And on 40 volt, they can put out, I think it's 1.25 amp, and on 20 volt, they can put out 2.5 amp. And it's got constant current and constant voltage. And I think on channel 3, you can't adjust for constant current, it's only for voltage. So yeah, I'm powering the video lights. The video lights for this video are, I'm using my Micro Pros, which I did another video for, these light panel Micro Pro video lights, which was another eBay score. So I got 4 of them. And what I noticed is that when you're powering these video lights, they flicker really badly, which is horrible for video. When you power them with batteries, they flicker, which is a horrible thing. So now that I'm powering them with the Powerbox, it's a really nice constant current and voltage, and there's absolutely 0 flickering. So anyways, I'll attempt to show you the constant current and constant voltage. So let's just so as you can see, if I these video lights are on channel 2 and channel 3. I don't have anything on channel 1. So if you can see I can dim the lights this way. So they go from 5 to 15 volts, right? So there, now I'm in constant current mode. You see how I changed to constant current mode? I just basically turned the current button, and it changed to constant current mode. So now I'm at constant current mode, and it's 0.55 current. And if I go, I think if I go past the constant current that the lights are drawing, it'll drop back into constant voltage mode. See right there? So now I'm in constant voltage mode again, as you can see from the lights. So yeah, that's how it works. It's kind of hard. And the other thing too is if there's no load, like if there's nothing attached to the load here, then you can't, the constant current won't work. So it'll only work if there's there you can see I'm adjusting it, and as I go up it'll switch over to constant voltage mode, and as I go back down it'll go back to constant current mode. And so yeah, so this one's kind of tricky because okay, now say I want to switch out of constant current mode. I guess that's the only way to switch out of constant current mode. Oh, now I'm in constant current and constant voltage mode. Seems like I can only do that with the bottom one. So there. Now I'm in constant voltage mode and constant current mode. But I don't think I'm in constant current mode because the current's changing. It's trying to keep everything at the same. So there, now I'm in just in constant voltage mode. So yeah, I think you basically, to get into constant voltage mode, you move the current switch past to what your power is being driven at, or what you set your voltage before at, and then it'll switch back into constant voltage mode. Yeah, so there, now it's in constant voltage mode. See, so I had to figure this out on my own because there's no manual whatsoever. I did a search and I couldn't find any kind of manual on this thing. So yeah, there's a check voltage switch. So there's a little turn screw here to set between 0 and 7 volts for the channel 3. And then when you hit the check voltage, it'll show you that channel 3 is on 3.6. And then it's got a separate ground. So your negatives aren't are isolated at the moment, I guess. And then it's got a separate ground so that you can ground everything to the like house ground, I guess, or the earth ground. The other thing that's got is it's got over temperature lights, over range lights, and then like I said, this constant current, constant voltage, and 40 volts setting. So I'm at 40 volts setting on channel 1. So that means I can pull up a maximum of 1.25 volts, 25 amps, and I'm on 20 volt mode because this light's not showing. So I'm on 20 volt mode here on channel 2, so I can pull up a maximum of 2.5 amps. So yeah, this is the Powerbox 3100. There's a fan in it, and there's a huge toroidal transformer. Like I said, this thing's huge. It weighs like 15 pounds, I think. There's massive heat sinks, massive capacitors inside. It's a really nice, it's an all metal case that's nicely machined metal. So it's a really beautiful little piece. And it's kind of the last lab power supply that Powerbox made all the way from Sweden. So as you can see in my other videos, I have some really cool stuff from Sweden. I have another, there's another company called Marenius, which I have a really beautiful mixer from Sweden, audio mixer. It's kind of semi-portable. It's pretty cool. It's kind of a unique device. It's even got a little memory chips in it. Really well made. So yeah, there's some cool stuff to come out of Sweden for electronics that a lot of people don't know about. So anyways, yeah, these are still around. There's still a few of them for sale sometimes. So thanks for watching, and check out my other videos.